All right, back episode 9 with Coffee with the Coaches. I'm Coach Brad down at University of Lynchburg.
Coach John Duncan, Southwestern University. And here we have Adam Cohen, our guest for today. Adam, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking out of my Team DePauw cup, but I'm just drinking the best thing in the world, water.
Water's, there we go. Brad, what do you have?
That's a first, isn't it? We had a couple of the coaches with tea, and then Keith brought his Diet Coke, and now the first one drinking water, but at least it's out of a coffee tumbler there. I got my Christmas mug going today, but I'm drinking some Aldi Guatemala coffee. It's pretty good stuff.
Aldi Guatemala, I like it. Well, Brad, I'm supporting 309, our local coffee shop here again. So
wait, that's a lamppost coffee on there.
Sorry, lamppost coffee. Sorry, there's another local place. It's called 309. So, but yeah, sorry, lamppost coffee. Another great local place. But Adam, honored to have you on our show. You and I worked together almost 16, 17 years ago. A long time. I worked on you as a graduate assistant at DePauw University. So I guess first just kind of we'll do kind of a quick introduction of yourself and talk about how long you've been at DePauw. And
talk about how long you've been at 309 coffee.
I need more coffee today, I guess. I'm messing up here. But Cohen, welcome aboard. Glad to have you.
It's good to be here, Duncan. It's glad to know you still need your coffee and stuff. I was remembering that we used to have to start morning practice a couple minutes late so you could get your coffee fix when the coffee shop's open in Greencastle. But I've actually been the head coach here now for 31 years. And you were one of our great assistant coaches. DePauw, like Southwestern, is a Division III program out in Indiana. And you know, we've seen our share of successes. We had a national champion a couple of years ago, but I think the thing I like the best is just watching our students kind of grow up here and watch them, you know, mature into really confident leaders.
Awesome.
That's great. And, you know, I think, you know, just so people watching know, one of our connections, Cohen, is through Charlie Bamey at Rhodes College, my first college job, talking about assistants, working for Charlie there. I know he's eager to watch this, we were saying, but one of the things that he always talked about that he learned from swimming for you and learning from you as a coach was just the essential aspect of team building. And, you know, it's not so much about the training and the strokes and all of this stuff. All of that's just kind of secondary to building a team. Where do you think, you know, what is your foundation for, you know, the way that you build your programs and your teams there? Does it come from your football background? What would you say, how would you speak to team building?
You know, that's a great thing to bring up. And Charlie was certainly a character in our program history. A great swimmer, still holds a record today, but a character. I think, you know, my approach on team building does come from football. I actually was a football coach here as well. And that was a great experience. I also teach, I'm the last coach to teach an academic class. And the class I teach actually is in sport and exercise psychology, which is about, for me, the fundamental thing is about group and team dynamics, how you build a team. And I think it's a mistake in swimming when we talk about an individual sport, because it's not really an individual sport. You both know as coaches, you know, we're only as good as the atmosphere around us. Getting in the water at 5:30 or 6 in the morning isn't easy. It's not natural for a college kid. But when your team can do it, when your team is there, that camaraderie really changes things and makes for a better practice environment, a more fun environment, and ultimately better swimmers. So we start with the idea of a team. We start with the idea that the hardest line in the English language is "I need help." And we want to build an environment where our swimmers feel confident asking not only coaches, but each other for help along the college journey.
That's awesome. I appreciate you sharing that.
Cohen, it's definitely a team atmosphere, waking up early in the morning and having your teammates there. And you have to rely on your teammates to get through a sport like swimming. Definitely agree with you there. So you said your 31st year at DePauw. I guess soon to be. Sorry?
That's crazy to think about. I never thought that would be.
Went by quick, huh?
Yeah, it did.
I guess my question for you is, when you start, I guess, what's the biggest difference you've seen in a student athlete when you started at DePauw and the student athlete now?
You know, it's an interesting question because everybody talks about Generation Z and the changes. And I really, with what will be my next year's junior class, began to see real changes. Technology. I mean, number one is technology. How attached they are to the phone. And they don't even use it as a phone anymore. It's texting, it's house party, it's Snapchat, it's TikTok, it's 1,000 different areas. And they're just much more comfortable with it. That's how they communicate. And for me as a coach, that's been probably the biggest change. The face-to-face meeting is so valuable to them, but they don't do it as much. And I think that's, or at least where I've seen the largest change in our athletes. They're also a lot smarter. John, when you and I swam or played sports, we did what the coach said, and there wasn't a lot of ways to learn about it. Today, you can go on YouTube and see 1,000 different ways to do the breaststroke turn. That's a change too. They bring a lot more knowledge to the table a lot quicker than even 10, 15 years ago. Can we hit pause?
All right. Back from a quick break, but kind of going on, looking at coaching from the start of your career to now. One thing I was looking at, Adam, was that you've got an English degree, you've been an English teacher. What kind of literature do you tap into with your program? Do you have favorite quotes to pull out, favorite authors, poets, or do you just leave all that alone?
He's good with his motivational speeches. You need to talk about that, Cohen.
John always liked my motivational speeches. I'm not sure the athletes liked it, but we used to leave the locker room, and John was all pumped up to go coach the meet.
The way he presented it was amazing.
I was an undergrad. I was an English psych major as an undergrad, and I got my first start out at a school called Perkiomen, where I coached football, swimming, and baseball. A residential boarding school, great people out there. And American Lit, I used to love Southern literature, Faulkner. Today I'm a big Stephen King guy. I love horror. For my inspiration, I think you just pull it from every part of your life, from things you read. Anybody that knows me knows my favorite movie is Miracle. I graduated high school in 1980, so I lived Miracle. And I think you just look around for role models, and you're trying to tap into what the students say and do. So you're going to pull it from a lot of places. Teaching taught me a lot. It changed things. When you're teaching a classroom, you're trying to get everybody, the top students, the middle students, the back of the classroom engaged. And I think that's true in coaching too.
That's good to hear, Cohen. Here's my next question. You're involved in so much at DePauw, from Greek life to spiritual life, city council, a adjunct professor in kinesiology. How do you, I guess maybe a question for us coaches, how do you balance your life? If you do balance your life, how can you do it all?
Well, that's a tough question. And actually,
you're doing a great way too. And you do a good job what you do.
I think you try to do it all and try to do it well, but sometimes you got to step back. And 2 years ago, in a talk with my team, I decided to pull back from a couple of things because I wanted to make certain other parts of my life more front and center. But I also think by being involved, we're role modeling some stuff to our students. Our student athletes aren't just swimmers. They do research, they do communications, they do radio. They're doing 100 different things. And we want them to balance it, so we have to do the same thing. But also understanding some of the worlds they live in can help you a little bit better on deck. I think the students, when they see me teaching, know that I'm still committed to the academic side. The engagement in student in city government, that's fun, but it's also a way to show the importance of giving back to our community, which all of our student athletes do. I'm sure in both your programs, the kids are out there doing it, and you have to role model that type of behavior too. But you also have to sometimes, and I tell my athletes this, sometimes we have to take a deep step back and say, if swimming is our number one priority, or this is our number one priority, we have to make some other adjustments in other places. Never call it a sacrifice, because what we do and we love is not a sacrifice. It's just an opportunity.
Yeah, that's awesome. We talk a lot about, it's kind of a question that comes up quite a bit with John and I when we talk about doing things, not necessarily balancing different things in life, but excelling at all of the things that we love to do. And definitely see that. And it's tough. It's not easy, right? And it's one of those things that it's tough to get through, especially as a college athlete, 4 years of it. And it's definitely a rewarding experience. In kind of looking at that part of it, when you talk to recruits, when you talk to your team, and you get some people that aren't quite sure if this is what they want to do or not, and they're wavering and they're in a really tough time. What do you tell them, and what do you see as the greatest values of being a part of a college program, being part of a team, and being a part of college swimming?
I had a parent a couple of years ago of one of my current swimmers, in a very polite way, really kind of grill me about that. Why should I invest? Why should we do this? Why should I be swimming in college? And I looked over, and I had a swimmer who's now very successful with JP Morgan. And this was a kid who really, his first day of practice, I didn't think was going to be good enough to even make our team. And I pulled him aside and told him that. I said, I don't know if you can do this, buddy. He came to us as not a great sprint freestyler, I think in the 23s. And he ended up graduating 20.5. But I watched him mature. And he's not the only one. But I think of Brandon a lot, because this kid went from this, not sure of himself young man to doing 3 internships in college, swimming at the national championships, all of those things. And you watch that maturation. And what I say to kids is, if that's what you want, if you're willing to work hard like he did, doing the internships, getting the grades, changing yourself, challenging yourself in the off season, change yourself physically. Those are great learning experiences. They're going to bode you really well when you step out into the real world and you're in that interview. I had another swimmer who was just interviewing for a job. He's been out a couple of years, and the lady was saying, well, the rap against your generation is, will you work long hours? And the swimmer looked up at the lady and said, Kurt looked up at her and said, in college, I was up at 5:30 in the morning in the water. And my day ended at 6 with the last practice. And the lady was interviewing him. Paul said, we don't need to talk about that anymore. That question's answered. And I think when I look at those guys and I see that, that's why you swim. That's why you play a sport. That's why you're part of a team.
Hey, John, I see what you mean. I'm fired up. I'm ready. I'm heading outside right now. I'm ready to go.
Let's go. No, Cohen, you got, that's the English major, the way with words.
And maybe it's a politician.
Great storyteller.
But they're true. I mean, guys are friends for life too. We do some alumni things. Every year we gather somewhere. A lot of the alums and I will gather. And it's not a formal DePauw thing, but we'll get 20, 30 alums. We'll gather in a city and we'll just have a ball. And you just continue to be part of their lives. You guys are a little bit younger coaches, but you're going to see that. They are part of your lives forever. And that's a good thing.
That's awesome. Very excited about that.
Cohen, being at DePauw for 30 years and having a tremendous career, multiple coach of the year honors, many conference championships, and then many national appearances. And congrats 2-3 years ago on your breaststroker winning the national championship meet. It's very rare now to have coaches stay at one place for that long. I plan on hopefully being at Southwestern. This is my hopefully end career. But I guess what made you stick at DePauw for so long? I know you've built so many relationships. Was that it? The alumni holding you in place and just the support that DePauw's given you? I guess, reaching out to other coaches here in the audience. what would you say, I guess more importantly, is it loyalty to the university and to your program you've built?
You know, and times have changed. So I'm not sure that what I did speaks to today. And I have my opportunities to move on. It's been over a decade ago, but I took serious looks and was offered a D1 job at a mid-major. I was offered some D3 jobs. And I had a mentor at the time, head coach of Bowdoin. I think he's passed since then. And I called him and I was talking, and he said something to me that's really important. He said, do you see yourself relating to that community as well as you relate to the community you're in now? And it was nothing against those other schools. They were great schools. They were great young men and women at those schools. But I related well here. And I liked the people that were here. I liked the students that are here. I began to make a home for myself in this community. Even though I don't have a family, I began to make a home for myself, and this just fit. So I made the decision, you know, to stop looking and to stay. Now, you know you're getting older, John, when the recruits shift their questions to, are you going to look somewhere else, to, when are you going to retire? I still got a lot of time to retirement. But a few of them asked me that, and I'm like, God, I don't know about that.
Well, I can't imagine. I don't even want to think about the day where we're all thinking about retirement. You know, it's you know, we talk about this all the time, but it's such a career. It's tough. It's long hours, just like our swimmers, and it's hard on your personal life, and it's hard in a lot of ways. But you know, I couldn't imagine doing something more rewarding and more enjoyable, and you know, just definitely something great to be a part of. And you're looking at that career and the success that you've had, and you mentioned it, your share of successes. And I invite people to really look at the long list of accolades that go along with the swim program on the men's side at DePauw since you've been there. But how do you kind of reassess? You know, Coach, what do you look at? You know, when you've had a national champion, you've had conference titles, you've had, you know, lots of different things. How do you continue to goal set after success?
I think you're constantly, you know, reassessing. I think you constantly have to ask yourself, you know, when we switched conferences, we had to reassess where we were as we entered a different level of competition. Certainly the national appearances are great, but that's not for every swimmer. I think you've got to sit down every year and ask yourself, what is it this program is going to stand for? What do the athletes want it to stand for? What are we capable of doing this year? And certainly last year, the end of the year, we started talking about that more than we ever have here. What is our true new mission statement as times change? What is our valor? But it's something that's an ongoing process. I mean, you have your core values. We will always stand for being a team, the idea of being able to ask for help. But we also have to reassess some stuff around that. What does it mean around that? You know, and I've seen both you guys on deck coaching, and you're both great deck coaches. So you're going to have the same experiences with your athletes that I've had with mine, you know, over time.
I appreciate that. That's awesome.
Thanks, Cohen.
John, we got about to the end of our time here. You got the last question?
The last question here. I think I may know the answer to this one, but Cohen, what movie character would resemble you?
You know, this one really kind of disappointed me because I put it out to some of my swimmers and alums that know me the best. Last night I wanted it to be the coach from Miracle. Because
well, yeah, you included it. I thought it was coming.
One of my favorite scenes in Miracle is the scene again. I love that scene. You know, when they're on the ice and he again. And what people don't know is that all the actors in the movie Miracle were actually hockey players. They were not actors. And they reskated it exactly as it was in the Olympics and the practices. My guy said, though, it was from Karate Kid, Mr. Miyagi. So I got to go with that one. Jake Fresh, one of my captains next year, threw me under the bus and replied with that one. In my heart, it's going to be the coach from Miracle. But the guy said Mr. Miyagi. And they're both mentors. They're both great coaches. They coach success, just very different approaches.
Motivational speakers in different ways, but all the same.
Same way, same end.
Well, that's awesome. I think we could probably do this for 45 more minutes, an hour longer, but we are keeping them short. And Adam, we'd love to have you again on here. This has been a lot of fun. Yeah, this is good, and I hope that you guys enjoy it, and so that they all know, we ask all of our guests what movie character represents them. So enjoy that answer, especially throwing Mr. Miyagi in there. But we'll give you the last word before we sign off. Anything else that you want to say, or anything else you want to add on?
No, I would just tell people, both the coaches and the athletes that it's hard work, but it really is awesome. You meet awesome people. And you get to invest in people's lives. Even the athletes are investing in each other. They're investing in their coach. At the end of the day, it's just an amazing experience. And I know the two of you, and I know you guys know that and understand that and build that in your programs too. So thanks for having me. And Duncan, I didn't tell the story about you almost drowning when you were a young coach here and trying to race. But maybe if you ever have me back, I'll tell the story.
Oh, we're going to get a cliffhanger for next time.
All right.
All right. Hey, well, appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me. It's awesome. See you later.
Thanks.
Bye, guys.